All right, everybody, how's it going? It is Tuesday, October 24th, 2023, and of course, we just finished with week 7 of the NFL, so, it's only right. It's only kind of natural. I mean, you go to week 8 and you see how you do on your picks. I guess we can go right into how that went. But first, before we get into everything, make sure you leave a like, subscribe to the channel if you're new around here. Make sure you leave your picks, how you did last week, how you're, all that stuff, how you're doing on the season, your picks for this week, which is probably the more important thing that I'd like to see, just so we can go head to head like usual. Thanks again if you've been doing that. It's helped the videos out, making the channel do a little better, so I appreciate you. Let's get into it. We did terrible last week. We went 6 and 7, not good at all. So hopefully we do better, but we just didn't see the upsets, I guess. I don't think really anybody had the best week. There was a couple people who had a few good upset picks, but I don't remember if they were enough to influence a good week. Obviously when teams like the Bills, 49ers, who else lost? A lot of people had the Dolphins. The Lions was a really popular pick that got a lot of people. The unexpected was this week, and that's why the NFL is so great, right? The old moniker is like any given Sunday, and that's kind of the truth. We've seen it this week. So week 7 was an upset weekend, so let's hope that week 8 we see the board a little bit better, and everyone does better. 62 and 44, not that great overall, but not the worst, I guess. Bye weeks. There's no one this week. We have a full 16 games to go over, so that's pretty cool. Let's jump right into it. Thursday Night Football, we got ourselves a banger. Kind of. I don't know. It depends on what Bills team shows up. The Bucs take on the Bills. The Bills are favored by 8.5 with an over-under of 42.5. Obviously, the lines are included after I make my picks. I kind of like to make the picks, then see who's favored. The Bucs are coming off a loss, 16-13 to the Falcons. They lost on like a walk-off field goal, and the Bills actually lost to the Patriots to what it was one of the big upsets of the weekend. The Patriots won on a walk-off touchdown. So it's kind of a, both teams lost in dramatic fashion toward the end of the game. So the Bills are home, short week, so I kind of like that going for them. Tampa Bay started off really good at like football this year. Then they played the Lions, and suddenly since then they really haven't had their offense back. They haven't really had any flow go, you know what I mean? It seems like they've hit this weird roadblock where their offense kind of has shelved a little bit, and maybe Baker has kind of started to play like the Baker we see him, the Baker cycle where he plays good, starts to feel unstoppable, starts feeling himself, which is where we were a few weeks ago, and then he starts playing bad. The media criticize it. We're kind of in almost to the Baker playing bad part of the Baker cycle. He's not really even the problem. It's just they're just not scoring points. Defensively, they should be able to hold the Bills in check because the Bills have been kind of struggling on the offensive side of the ball this year. They're kind of inconsistent, a little streaky. Defensively, the Bills should be a bit more, ready for the Bucs. I don't know. I like the Bills to win this one. They should be able to rebound after a tough loss against the Patriots. They usually probably come out quite focused after that one. They don't like losing to the Patriots. So happy we upset them. So yeah, I got the Bills. Short week, so favors Buffalo. Sunday at 1 o'clock, we got a bunch of these ones to go over. The Texans take on the Panthers. Both teams coming off a bye, which is pretty cool. The Texans are 3-point favorites with an over-under of 43. And basically, because of Houston's defense, Carolina's problems on offense, this is a pretty straightforward pick for me. It's like the Texans will probably win this game unless Carolina suddenly comes to life after the bye week. Again, the line's been bad. Can't really judge Bryce Young because of how bad the line's been. The receivers haven't been great for Carolina. And again, Houston's playing pretty good. Stroud's been a pretty impressive rookie. The defense is pretty solid. So seems like an easy pick for the Texans to beat the Panthers and get to above 500. Good for Houston. Pretty good game here. The Rams take on the Cowboys. Cowboys are 6.5-point favorites with an over-under of 45.5. Cowboys coming off a bye, so that'll help at home. That's kind of two big reasons why I like the Cowboys in this one. And the Rams are coming off a 24-17 loss to the Steelers, and they're 3-4, which kind of indicates a very one week they look good, one week they look mediocre, one week they look good, then mediocre, good, mediocre. You know what I mean? So it's kind of just like you're not really sure what version of the Rams offense you're going to get. It could be the bad version where they maybe get a bunch of yards, but they don't really score. And they're going up against the defense that could make that Rams team appear, the one that's not so great on offense. And that's kind of how I think this game's going to wind up going, basically due to the Cowboys defense, which is pretty hit and miss, but can be pretty good. Usually can be pretty good. Should be able to kind of take away this Rams passing ability, the run game, and just kind of dominate them. Not really dominate them. It's going to be a close game, but I feel like the Cowboys take it because, again, the Rams have just been so inconsistent and so streaky this year that it feels like you can't have that kind of offense playing the Cowboys. So I like the Cowboys. Again, off a bye at home kind of helps as well. Let's see, what do we got next? Oh, actually, Minnesota wins this game. They could have their season back on track after a real rough start. It's the Vikings versus the Packers. Obviously, Green Bay's at home. Packers are favored by 1. The Vikings are coming off a pretty good upset of the 49ers 22-17, and the Packers lost to the Broncos 19-17. Basically, I'm going with Minnesota in this game due to the fact that, again, Minnesota seems to be finding their stride slowly here the last couple weeks. Their offense has been a little better. Their defense has been a little better. Even when they lost to the Chiefs, they barely lost to Kansas City. So I kind of like seeing that. I kind of like seeing them compete against good teams, then beating a good team. So it's kind of, again, that's indicating that they've improved. They maybe figured out what was wrong early in the season and are going forward with that. And they were able to beat the Niners without Jefferson, which is very impressive. Meanwhile, with the Packers, it's like they're not terrible, right? But the problem with the Packers seems like they're good for the third quarter onward, and I feel like that's going to cost them a lot of games because it seems like they're like always in this deficit where they're down by, you know, maybe down by double-digit scores usually, and it's like, well, good luck coming back from that. So until we see like Jordan Love play a full complete game without looking kind of bad for a good chunk of it, it's really hard to pick the Packers to win. You know, the Vikings are going to want revenge, you know, like, you know what I mean? Like, if the Packers were playing better, I'd pick them even with the Vikings playing how they are. But it's just like, man, I'm going to have to go Minnesota. They're playing way better, and the Packers really struggled versus a bad Broncos defense. So, you know, this is an okay game. The New Orleans Saints take on the Indianapolis Colts. Saints coming off a loss. Colts coming off a rather controversial 39-38 loss to the Browns. Saints lost 31-24 to the Jags. Colts are favored by 1.5 with an over/under of 42.5. I'm going to go with the Colts. You know, it's not that the Saints didn't look good against the Jaguars, because they did look pretty good. It's just, I don't know. I think the Colts were well on their way to beating a much better defense than the Saints have in the Browns, and then some real questionable calls occurred in that game, and kind of, I don't know how to describe that. That was rather fishy. It was weird seeing the Colts get screwed out of bad calls, because usually they're like the beneficiary of some really questionable calls. But hey, you know, it is what it is. So I don't know. So again, I like the fact that the Colts offense looks explosive, looks like they can score points against good defenses, which is, you know, what the Saints tend to have. So I could imagine the Colts being able to score. Meanwhile, with the Saints, they have this super inconsistent offense that I just really can't trust. I could imagine the Colts defense kind of giving them fits and frustrating them. And, you know, Colts at home, I like that. So I don't really care about this game, if I'm being honest. All right, here's my upset pick of the weekend, and everyone's going to think I'm crazy, but I'm all the way back in on my Patriots. I think 12-5 is completely doable, and I think we can win this division, but you have to go with me and don't think I'm crazy. So, the Dolphins are favored by 9.5 with an over/under of 47. Obviously, we know the Patriots just upset the Bills, which is why I'm feeling myself and I'm feeling my team again. The Eagles, the Dolphins lost to the Eagles 31-17, so all right, the Dolphins won the week 2 meeting between these two teams, and that was back when the Patriots offense was bad, the offensive line was bad, Mac Jones wasn't playing good, the receivers were meh. But since then, things have changed a little bit since last week. We figured out our offensive line. I think that's a big thing. I think the offense looked really sharp against the Buffalo Bills, who have a slightly better defense than the Miami Dolphins do, I would have to argue. So a little unknown fact is, if you go look up the average separation yards for guys like Gesicki, Hunter Henry, Juju's whatever, Pop Douglas, like they're actually toward the top of the league. They're better than a lot of guys you'd be shocked to find out how good like 3 or 4 of the Patriots receivers are at average separation. And due to the fact that Miami secondary has been so-so this week, or has been, you know, not the greatest, if Jalen Ramsey isn't ready to play this week, then I think the Patriots can actually kind of shock people, which is kind of what happened to the Bills with a very efficient passing game. Because again, the Bills really had no idea. Like Mac Jones went 25 of 30 for like 280 yards and 2 touchdowns, no picks. I mean, that's a really good performance with how they'd been playing. So again, if the line is blocking, I think the fact that the receivers get great separation against a somewhat mediocre secondary without Jalen Ramsey, and I think things for the Patriots might go a little smoother than people are thinking offensively. And I think because the Patriots usually can deal with Tyreek Hill with Jonathan Jones and JC Jackson, and we have both of those guys available for this game, so we should be able to handle, you know, their high-flying offense like we usually have. I think this is ripe for an upset pick, and I think I'm right to pick this one. Again, do I think it's likely? Boy, do I have a lot of caveats and if, but I do think that the Patriots can get this upset. Even though I'm a little biased, I would be looking at those things anyway going, all right, so Miami has a questionable secondary. Their defense has been hit and miss this year. The Patriots suddenly can block again against a really decent, like a pretty good Bills like defense. They can block it. They like Mac Jones didn't get sacked or 1 sack in that game, barely any pressures, and suddenly they were throwing the ball with relative ease. So if the Patriots can replicate that performance that they had against the Bills, they can beat a lot of teams in this league. They can beat Miami. So I'm going with the upset, even if it seems a little crazy. And I'm not picking against my team again for the rest of the year. So we're back in, baby. Patriots to the Super Bowl. All right, let's get serious again for a minute. Jets take on the Giants. Battle of New York. Best team of New York is on the line, because again, it's like this crazy game of Jenga. Like because the Jets already because the Bills beat the Giants and the Jets beat the Bills. If the Jets beat the Giants and then beat the Bills again, Jets are king of New York for 4 years. It's like this weird game that has to be done. But the Jets are coming off a bye. Giants are coming off a 14-7 win versus the Commanders. I would pick the Giants because I like the way that they're playing right now. But again, I almost made this like a 10-7 game. I was like, I don't like picking low scores like that, so I'm going to go with the higher score. Basically, I think the Jets defense can pretty much shut down the Giants offense, but I do think that there's going to be defensive scoring in this game. I think the Giants score a defensive touchdown, Jets score one, and then it's kind of field goals that might decide it. And I just think the Jets, because of their defense and because I've seen them play pretty good against like really good teams this year, I'll have to go with the Jets. You know, a battle of mid. And this is actually a sneaky good football game. The Jaguars take on the Steelers in a defensive matchup. Jaguars are 2.5-point favorites with an over-under of 41.5. Jaguars are coming off the win. Steelers are coming off their win, like we've already discussed. So both teams coming off wins. Both teams have really good records. Unfortunately for the Steelers, the Ravens are 5-2, so they can't be in first place. But the Jaguars are comfortably in first place in their division. They're in the AFC South. All right, so basically this comes down to I just really don't know about the Steelers offense. I know they're doing enough to win games. They're winning ugly. It doesn't really matter if you win by 1 or 100, if you win pretty, if you win ugly, you just got to win. And the Steelers are doing that, so I'm not trying to take anything away from them. But I think the fact that they're going up against the defense that's very similar to their own, the Steelers probably a little better. Because again, the Steelers have like 4 defensive wins. I do think the Jaguars will struggle on offense, but I also think that the Steelers will struggle more on offense this week, because again, these are very similar kind of built defenses and kind of similar teams, but the Jaguars have the obviously way better offense. So I can imagine the Jaguars defensively kind of shutting down the Steelers offense, taking advantage of that. Again, the Jaguars aren't going to be real pretty on offense either. They're going to have a miserable game against the Steelers defense. But I could see this weird thing where it just feels like the Steelers are going to lose this game. I don't know why. It's just like I feel like their offense just won't be able to overcome enough of the Jaguars defense, where I feel like the Jaguars offense maybe gets a lucky drive or two in there where they score touchdowns, and that's like the deciding factor of the game. With, you know, could be another game where both defenses are all over this and scoring a lot. So, all right, let's move on. The Falcons take on the Titans. Falcons are 2.5-point favorites with an over/under of 37. Titans coming off a bye, so I like that. Off bye at home. And the Falcons are coming off a win, 16-13. I'm going to go with the Titans, mainly because I think the Mike Vrabel knows Arthur Smith. It's kind of like a similar thing, like how much does each person know? And I think the Titans, since they have new people, know Arthur Smith a little bit better, so they'll be able to like game plan his offense completely. Plus they had a bye to like completely game plan for him, so they're like super prepared to face Arthur Smith, their old guy. So, but I mean, like the opposite also could be true, where like Arthur Smith knows everything about how Vrabel prepares, so he's super ready. So that's why I have it as a close game. It's just I trust the Titans at home a little bit more because the Falcons on the road have been kind of bad this year, and they don't really play the same. Plus, I don't know, I think the Titans turned it around. This is probably my last time trusting them. The Eagles play the Commanders. The Eagles are 6.5-point favorites with an over/under of 43.5. We've already discussed both their teams. Eagles off a win, Commanders off a loss. Commanders play the Eagles really well, so this is probably going to be one hell of a game. Maybe even the Commanders could get the upset. I know there's probably going to be people that pick the Commanders to get the upset, but after the way the Eagles just beat the Dolphins, if the Eagles have that focus for this game, which they're probably going to, because again, they're trying to. After they lost that game, I think they were super embarrassed. Their defense dominated the shit out of the Dolphins. So I can imagine a much lesser offense in the Commanders is going to have all kinds of problems and nightmares stopping what is becoming a very scary Eagles front seven as well. They were all over Tua, making the thing uncomfortable. They shut down the Miami's vaunted run game, and now the Commanders, who don't have the offensive line that the Dolphins have the, you know, displeasure of trying to deal with that. So maybe if they had caught the Eagles before they lost, this would be the Eagles' first loss, but the fact that they've already lost means that they'll probably be ready to go in this one. Did they lose to the Commanders? No, who'd they lose to? I forgot. It was somebody like they shouldn't have lost, though. Why am I not remembering that? It just happened. Oh well, I guess it don't matter too much. Is it an AFC team? It is. It was the Jets. That's right. All right, cool. Let's move on. Those are the 1 o'clock games. 4 o'clock. Browns take on the Seahawks in arguably one of the best games of the weekend. Seahawks are favored by 3 with an over/under of 40.5. Again, we talked about the Browns winning. The Seahawks beat the Cardinals 20-10, so pretty good win for them. I got the Browns winning 24-21. Basically, it's just like, it kind of goes like this, right? The Browns on their best day are playing elite defense that can shut down just about any offense, but say that their defense isn't having a good day, everything fails. We've now learned that the Browns are suddenly capable of scoring 40 points a game with their backup quarterback of PJ Walker and like the run game. See, everything seems to be working really well for them in terms of offense. They maybe figured some things out. So again, it's kind of impressive to see that when their defense failed, the offense backed it up. So I like seeing that for the Browns. It seems like they have a very good team now, even without Deshaun Watson. I like seeing that they were able to hang in a shootout and actually win a shootout with a, you know, guy you didn't expect to be able to do that. Seahawks have looked good all year, but again, there's a couple moments where they've struggled where I'm like, all right, they didn't look that great against Arizona. They didn't really look that great against Cincinnati. And then the Browns just bullied the Bengals. I know that's division stuff and you shouldn't use it, but it's like kind of using common opponents. I don't know if the Browns have played the Cardinals, but it's just like it's just a couple of things where the Browns basically, it's like I'm more impressed with what I've seen the Browns do and win, whereas like the Seahawks, I'm like, yes. This feels like a game where the Browns defense can really get to Geno Smith, keep him frustrated, and make the Seahawks offense sputter and struggle, especially if they take away the run, which the Browns will probably do. So give me the Browns in a really close, fun game, 24-21. I got the Chiefs beating the Broncos. Chiefs are 7.5-point favorites with an over/under of 46. I know the Broncos just won a game. Usually play them close, but I'm honestly not going to spend a lot of time talking about this one. I'd be shocked if the Broncos won. Not going to happen. 7-1 Chiefs. Son of a bitch. Well, fucking 1 seed KC again. Oh boy. Ravens take on the Arizona Cardinals. Ravens are 8.5-point favorites with an over-under of 44. Ravens beat the hell out of the Lions 38-6, and we know the Cardinals lost to the Seahawks. Though Arizona's played pretty good this year, I don't really see them being able to beat the Ravens, especially with what we just seen the Ravens do to a 5-1 Lions. You know, the real question is how do the Ravens cover that 8.5-point spread? So got to win by 9 or more, and I think they do. This feels like a pretty good walk in the park game, kind of like the Chiefs beating the Broncos. This is like, these feel very obvious. Would be crazy if they lost. Another pretty good game, I think. The Bengals take on the 49ers. 49ers are for 5.5-point favorites with an over-under of 45.5. I guess this is my other upset pick. I got the Bengals are coming off a bye. 49ers, we just said, lost to the Vikings 22-17. So when I look at this game, basically, I like what the Bengals have done on defense this year. It's been quietly one of the better defenses in the NFL. I like that they're off a bye, so they're going to be super prepared, ready to go. I do have like this weird fear that the 49ers defense is going to be like ready to shut down Zach Taylor's offense, kind of like they do to Sean McVay, kind of like the connections between everybody. But again, it's just there's some separation there, so maybe it's different enough. But again, it seems like the 49ers defensively kind of struggle with teams with good receivers. Jordan Addison was out there just destroying things. So I can imagine Jamar Chase and Tyler Boyd and this Bengals kind of like really good receiving core can have their way with this 49ers team. It's just something I noticed. It's like they're very good up front, but I don't know about the secondary. It seems susceptible. And I think the Bengals can take advantage of that. And also, I don't really know if the 49ers offense, now that we've seen where the flaws and the holes in the Purdy's been kind of exposed, you can kind of see what his weaknesses are. We have to see if Purdy and them can adjust to that. You know, I always say, like, a young quarterback can play good right away, and then the league adjusts to him. Now, can he adjust to the adjustments is what I always say. Can Purdy adjust to the adjustments? And we'll find out. This is a big couple weeks for him. So until we see it, it's kind of hard to pick him because, again, the Bengals have this pretty good defense. Should be able to shut him down unless he's figured it out already. But it's kind of just happened. So, you know, maybe needs another week. And again, the 49ers struggle with, like, it seems like they sometimes struggle with really good receivers, and the Bengals are a receiving team. So I like the Bengals to get another upset, I guess. Sunday Night Football. Wow, I didn't know the Chargers. Are they really? Did I write that wrong? Yeesh. The Chicago Bears take on the Los Angeles Chargers. Chargers are 8.5-point favorites with an over-under of 46.5. The Bears are coming off a big-time win, 30-12 versus the Raiders. Congrats to Tyler Bagnet. He was in his bag, getting W's. But like, and the Chiefs beat the Chargers. We already discussed that, 31-17. The Bears are 2-5. Chargers are 2-4. So we're looking at two teams that should not have similar records. The Chargers are a way more talented team on literally every aspect of the ball except maybe coaching, probably even coaching. I really just, you know, the Bears just are having a bad year, and the Chargers are too, I guess. I don't really know how they're favored by 8.5. I think the Bears are going to keep this frustratingly close. Because, again, the Chargers have been just seemingly so ineptly coached by Brandon Staley, and they're just letting him stick around. So it may even be better if the Bears won this game if you're a Chargers fan, because that would immediately get Staley fired. So, hey, maybe I'm wrong, and you want this to, if you're a Chargers fan, you want to lose this game. I don't know. Maybe. Am I crazy? I don't know. I picked the Patriots to beat the Dolphins. I'm probably fucking insane. Yeah, I think the Chargers should win this game, but again, I can't believe I'm even like questioning this pick. All right, let's go to Monday Night Football. This is a pretty decent game, but the Lions should be able to just destroy this team. The Raiders play the Lions in Detroit. Lions are 8.5-point favorites with an over-under of 44.5. Lions obviously coming off a real ugly loss, but so are the Raiders to the Bears. And the Raiders right now, they don't know if Jimmy G is going to play. We don't know if it's going to be O'Connell. We don't know if it's going to be Brian Hoyer. So they're kind of in this quarterback limbo, quarterback hell situation. Meanwhile, the Lions will be pretty healthy, ready to get, like, they're going to be super focused, ready to go after a super embarrassing loss to the Ravens. So if I'm the Raiders, I really don't like the situation of this game. It's like, damn, our quarterback situation's not good. They have a scary defensive line, and they're going to be super angry to get to kind of get their good name back in. Tough game for the Raiders. I got the Lions winning in pretty good fashion. Welcome back to Monday Night Football, Detroit. Missed you. All right, so yeah, I got the Lions. I don't know. All right, that's pretty much that for this week. Hopefully you enjoyed that. It's done, down the drain, washed away. We got that shit in the bag, in the Tyler Bagnet. Bagnet? I don't know how to say that name. Anyway, make sure you leave a like, subscribe to the channel if you're new here. You know, if you're new around here, and leave your comments and all that if you haven't already and you're still listening around. Appreciate you listening this long. But yeah, that's it for week 8. I'm gonna get out of here and keep it at about 25 minutes. So pretty good video. Hopefully you enjoyed it. I had a good time making it. I can't believe we're already at week 8. The season's just moving by far too quickly. We're a week away from Halloween already too. That's crazy. The year goes by slow, then football comes on and the year just goes, all right, time to go into overdrive. Bullshit ass fucking time dilation. Anyway, appreciate you listening. Have a good rest of your day, night, morning, mid-afternoon, mid-evening, that time between like 3 and 6. Like, what is that? Is that? That's not afternoon. That's not evening. It's not midday. Like what is that? Like what is that? Like what is even Florida? You know what is between 1 and 3, like midnight, and then it's like morning. But it's not morning yet at 1 a.m. and it's not really night. I don't know. Anyway, thanks for listening. Have a good one. Whenever you listen, peace out. Go Lions, go Patriots. Oh wait, go Lions, go Tigers, and of course it's always go Patriots. Have a good day. Peace out. Bye bye.